This week we are installing the Lynx bus bar system. We've already done our batteries, we already put the fuses on those, and now it's time to assemble the whole backbone, which will bring the power in from the batteries, connect it to the BMS, and then distribute the power to the rest of the boat. Now we need to make sure they're all gonna fit and then build some sort of like board to install them on, and then we can get to at least bolting these into the boat. This Lynx distributor system is also one of the reasons why we selected Victron to do the main components on our boat. It's a really clean system, it's modular, and it's really cool because you can combine multiple different boxes in different orders for your different needs, and it all combines onto one single bus bar, like backbone. And that way you can have a smaller system for smaller boats up to a much larger system for larger boats. So the components we've chosen to use on our boat, because we have two battery banks, we've got two BMSs, one for each battery bank, and those are going to be connected into two distributors. We technically only need one for our larger loads, but we're building our whole electrical system to about 50% capacity so that if in the future we want to add more solar or a wind generator or some type of like fuel cell, we'll already have that built into the system. So it's going to be really easy to just plug that in, add a fuse, and we'll be good to go. The other reason we are using their larger 1000 amp bus bar instead of the 500 is because we have two battery banks. Our system is going to be able to dump a lot of power, and we're going to be able to use a lot of power because we've got twin ocean volts and all of our galley is going to be electric. So, you know, someday if we're like motoring along at 7 knots, cooking Thanksgiving dinner, running the air con, this will be able to handle it. Normally we're going to be consuming significantly less power, but the point of electrical system, especially now that we can design it from the ground up, is to make it capable of handling max loads, and we're not going to be blowing any fuses or heating up any wires. So these boxes all bolt together. They're going to create sort of the backbone that the rest of the system feeds off of. And now I'm going to open these up and kind of walk you through what's in each box and then put them together. We've been working with Victron very closely over the last year to make sure that this system is going to work the way that we want it to, because what we're doing and how we're doing it, I don't want to say it's never been done before, but it's very rare. It's not like a standard setup. So we've been working very closely with Victron, as well as one of their distributors in Austria called Off Grid Shop. They've been the one actually mailing us all of the blue boxes and also helping us go through our wiring diagrams and make sure that everything that we're getting is what we think it is, and how we're connecting it is going to work in the way we expect it to. And at the end of the day, make sure nothing melts or blows fuses or catches on fire when we do a proper smoke test. So it's been really good to work with them. The guys at Off Grid Shop do like bespoke electrical installs on yachts all over the world. And they actually were recommended to us by Victron to work directly with them to make sure the system is going to work the way we want it to once we plug everything in. They're also probably going to come down later once we actually have everything installed and do like a proper shakedown of our electrical system. But that's going to come later. We're pretty excited about that. All right, now let's go through each box and explain what it does and why we're using it and how it's going into our system. First up is going to be the actual BMS. And this is a really cool box because it combines quite a few different components that would have been split and separated out throughout our old build. But now it's built into one single box. And because we have two battery banks and we're optimizing redundancy, we have two BMSs. But I'll open one and show you what's inside. Inside of the BMS is two giant contactors that open and close the whole positive system. So there's a positive bus bar and a negative bus bar that runs across the top of all of these boxes, and they all get bolted together. So this acts as like a main battery switch. It also acts as like an emergency cutoff switch if the BMS says no more power. There's also some fans in there to keep it cool. And then down here at the bottom is the shunt that tells the system how much power we're using. And then I believe that this is a pre-charge relay so that when the contactors close, they don't spark. Then there's a little bit of a logic board in there and some other bits and pieces. That's the actual sort of BMS part. that takes signals and from the batteries and relays them throughout the rest of the boat and monitors things and lets us know if anything's happening that's not supposed to be happening. I know we joked earlier that the BMS's job is to make sure the boat doesn't catch on fire. It may have been a little bit for dramatic effect because we're using lithium iron phosphate batteries, not lithium ion batteries. There's a pretty big difference in how those chemistries react when they do get fault. Lithium iron batteries are pretty much the standard that are going in boats these days. When they do have some sort of issue or a thermal runaway, they just smoke. They don't actually go up in flame. And so it's good to vent that smoke overboard, but it's not going to catch the boat on fire. They're incredibly safe compared to the stuff that are in like your phone or in some electric cars. The batteries in your phone are meant to be as small and as light and max capacity and charge as fast as absolutely possible. So they're using relatively volatile chemistry, which makes them a lot more reactive. The batteries we're using are quite ridiculously safe. We're not too worried about it. So mainly the BMS operates as an on-off switch so that it can sense if there's voltages that are wrong in the cells or if they're overcharged or undercharged or they're too cold or they're too hot, and then it can shut things down before it becomes an issue. So that's the main point of a BMS. The really cool part about these is that it combines just a bunch of components that we would need anyway into one nice, compact, small box. And then along the bottom, there are a bunch of relay circuits that the BMS can control. So it's got like a remote on-off, so that if we want to use that as a main battery switch, we can just put a switch on that, and we can turn our batteries on and off as if we had a mechanical switch, because it shuts these contactors off. Temperature sensor, it's got another relay, and then it's got allowed to charge and allowed to discharge circuits. We'll get into all of that once we start actually wiring the boat. The other cool part, which we have had to change our design around a little bit, is when we first started speccing and designing our system, we were gonna have each BMS individually split on each battery bank. Since then, Victron's come up with a software update and a little bit of a hardware modification. You just have to flip 2 wires so that we can actually put both of these BMSs on either side of this big long bus bar, and then everything's gonna be one place. It's gonna be much cleaner. It's gonna be much easier to troubleshoot. So that's changed our design a little bit. It means we have to replan where we're gonna install all of this, which brings me to sort of the one and only negative that I see about this whole system, and it's kind of minor. But that's because everything's built into its own box, and because that's strung along a very large bus bar, a positive and negative bus bar, it's designed so that all of these boxes are bolted together, which then combine into a pretty long piece of kit that we need to install somewhere. Technically, you can definitely wire each box individually. That's not an issue, but then you have to run cables in between each of them. Because we're running a 1000 amp system, that would mean running 4 of these big chunky cables in between each box, which would be pretty messy, pretty complicated, add a bunch of extra weight. So we're gonna do our best to make sure that we can just bolt them all together as they're sort of designed to be and find a place to fit them. But we do have some planning to do around that. So originally, we had plans to have each of these individual BMSs. Like the battery banks require these, and each one of these, I think, can string up to 50 batteries, as in the BMS can handle 50 because it's digital now and not an analog signal, which is awesome. But these were originally gonna sit on our battery bank, and we were gonna have fuses there as well, because we originally needed to split both of these BMSs off of the main bus and then have them feed into a power in this box, which is just a Lynx distributor without any fuses in it. But since then, Victron's come up with a hardware fix and a software fix that allows us to actually bolt both of these BMSs into the same bus bar. Our original plan was to mount 2 of these boxes somewhere and 2 of these BMSs on the batteries. But now we can put a BMS on one side, a spare distributor. See if I can stack them all up here. Then the Class T, then another distributor, and then the BMS. And so now we have this like 1.5 meter long bus bar that we need to find a place for. We don't want to put it in the cockpit locker because it's going to be wet and salty in there because all of our saltwater pumps are in there. And we don't really want to have to split it into multiple components and then wire them together for the reasons I mentioned before. So we need like a big long space. Now, the cool part about these is, let me get one that's still bolted together. They're designed to mount this way, hence the logos and the cables coming down. You can mount them this way. 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 As far as I know, you can't mount them in an orientation they're not designed to be mounted in. Maybe the Class T one, because it has venting for heat distribution, but even that's vented all the way around. So as far as I know, you can mount them in any orientation, but 1.3 meters is a long space. So we don't really have many spaces that we can mount them in the boat. We were originally planning to put them underneath the companionway, but they're about half a box too tall now. So we're gonna have to come up with a different solution. One where they're gonna be in a dry place that's out of the way, but also easy to access in case a fuse blows. We need to know and get in there and fix it. The next biggest box is gonna be the Lynx Class T distributor. This thing is a tank, and inside of it are 2 Class T fuses. So now we're starting to get into the distribution side of the Lynx bus bar system. We're gonna have one of these Class T bus bars, and it is gonna be the one that runs our Ocean Volt motors. So power is gonna be coming in, and these 2 negative and positive buses are gonna be powered by the BMSs. And then we're gonna have 2 big Class T fuses here, and then the positive, which is down here, and the negative are gonna go out to our individual Ocean Volts. This thing is well ventilated, and it's just like a solid chunk of metal. There's really nothing else in this one. It's pretty basic, but it's also a relatively compact way to get 2 Class T fuses into this bus bar system, as opposed to the ones we put on the battery. These ones shorten the whole thing up, and it all bolts together nicely. The next box on the list is gonna be another Lynx distributor, and this one has fuses built in as well. But this one is rated for less power to come out. They're not Class T. I wanna say they're mega fuses. I need to double check that. We haven't ordered all of our fuses yet. But this box is gonna be what's running all of our other 48 volt loads. So the Orion, which is gonna be charging our 12 volt battery, our windlass, which comes out at 48 volts, our solar panel, which is coming in at 48 volts, and our multi-plus inverter, which is going out. So relatively still high loads. And then it also has a status LED, so if any of those fuses blow, we can just look at this box and see if the fuse is gone. And also there's a little bit of circuitry in there that will tell the BMS if there's a fuse blown, I believe, or at least the GX and the servo. All right, so I've already pre-installed all of the lugs that we're gonna need for those individual components. And yeah, there's a little bit of circuitry in here and some LEDs that can tell if the fuse is blown. And then also I can't remember the name of that connector. It's the same one that you use on the old school phones. But each one of these boxes gets connected together by a cable so that they can all communicate with each other. But yeah, also relatively straightforward. The fuses go in here. They're pretty easy to install and wire. And yeah, it's pretty straightforward. We are also installing a second distributor box, even though we're not planning to install any fuses or cables in it this time around, but that's just because we want some future proofing in this system. So in case we want to put a wind turbine in, or more solar, or a fuel cell, or if we ever can figure out how to convert our Selden winch to 48 volts, we can run it off of this one and it'll already be built in, so we don't have to like retrofit anything later. So that's the system. That's what all the components do. Now we need to make sure they're all gonna fit and then build some sort of like board to install them on. And then we can get to at least bolting these into the boat, which we will do by the end of this video, we promise.
Maybe.
Giga's like, or part 7.
Not.
It tapers.
There's just so many like angles in here, it's impossible to measure. I need to just make a template for the board that's gonna go in here. It's so cozy.
Mm-hmm.
Huh, it's not cold in here. It'd be nice to sleep in here offshore. Actually, I think what might work is putting the mounting bracket on the top and going in that way. Because there's not going to be any space for a bracket behind here. It's angled. But up here, there's plenty of space for a bracket.
Mm-hmm.
Now I can cut it out of the actual, I can make the actual board that's going to get mounted in there, that all that BMS is going to get mounted to. And the whole point of making these boards is so that I can pre-assemble everything down there and then come in here and assemble it so that I don't have to go in there and put each individual box together. Because that would be kind of a nightmare. Back in the hole. Close. It's very, very close. It's not quite there yet. I think it was just touching just here. So it needs to be like just like a centimeter shorter, and I think we'll be okay. Shorter the better. That pilot berth was not made to go in reverse. Stay fit. Okay. I could cut 2 centimeters off of it, actually. Oh, they're way down there. Oh, geez, I could cut a lot off of it. Split the difference, 1.5 centimeters. Every time.
I don't know if you need more practice or if you just need to give up on that one.
It should definitely fit now. Yeah, that's better. Much better. Perfect. Perfect. There's like tiny bit of wiggle room back and forth, which is good. Make that vertical, which is good. Need to figure out how I'm going to mount that board, which is fine. It's a good spot for it too, because this space, for the longest time, we just had absolutely no idea what we were going to use it for. We're like, we could put a net there and store pillows or whatever. Inside this pilot berth is going to be the driest place in the whole boat because it's pretty much completely sealed. So having our main bus in here is going to be awesome because there's no way it's ever going to get moisture in here. I just need to figure out the bracket that's going to like bolt through this or screw into that so it'll stay put. All right, well, I just finished building the board that the Lynx is going to be installed on. I've been making these sort of brackets ever since the water tanks, just angle iron and then welding braces along the
flat side so that it becomes like significantly stronger. It's definitely overkill, but it's a fun way to practice welding on things that are less important. Yeah, this one's a little bit tricky because once it's installed on the top of our pilot berth, I'm not gonna have access to the back to put a nut on. So I installed these stainless threaded inserts back here. So once this gets installed, I can just kind of bolt it through from the front and then install all of the Lynx boxes on this side of it. So now all I need to do is put the assembled bus bar on here and then pre-drill all of the mounting holes for each individual box so that it's gonna be much easier to line them up and install them once I'm in the pilot berth. That's the last bit of planning and prep that needs to happen before they go in. So getting closer.
This is going to be a little bit fiddly because I can't see anything behind this board once it's up there. So we need to like put it up, measure, mark it, and then put it up again and install it. I hope it fits. Okay, that's a good start. I'm just going to use this one as a handle. There we go. Oh, okay. What is square? Upside down and backwards.
Still square.
Oh, that's pretty good actually. Oh, that's pretty good actually. Oh, that's pretty good actually. Okay, so if that's like there, there. Okay. Moment of truth. Hope it actually fits now. Let's see if all of that planning and prep work paid off. And okay. Okay. It's a good start. I'm still using Tef gel, not because I'm worried about corrosion, because it's never going to get salty, but because it helps lubricate the stainless bolts so that they don't like bind on each other. Sweet. Okay, the first one to line up is going to be the hardest. Oh yeah, Jesus. That's insane. I was expecting it to be a little bit wobblier than that. I was expecting I was going to have to put a little bracket down the bottom, but like, I can't get it to move. So that's good. Sweet. Now the only thing left to do is to go get all the boxes and then screw them in place. Think first I need to drill the holes in the back where the cables are going to go out for the battery bank in the cockpit, and the holes in the front where the battery bank is going to go out. Cables for the battery bank for the companionway. I think that's going to be easier to do before I install anything.
Are you gonna put like a L bracket on the side?
I don't think I need to. Like, it doesn't move, and I'm like ripping on it. I'm putting way more force than the Lynx will put on it. So I think we're good. I don't think I need to put anything on it. Oh, really solid. It's more solid than I was expecting it to be.
Hey babe, can you pass me the first BMS?
Yeah, sure, I know exactly what you're talking about. On the first try.
All right, got it. All right, I need to make sure that I don't like press on any of these circuit boards. Just get a screw. This is why I pre-drilled all the holes downstairs, because doing it here would be an absolute nightmare. All right, going in. All right, I want to leave it like a little bit loose for now. So my goal is that I'm going to leave all of these like a little bit loose as I install them. And then I'm going to torque all of these bolts down properly and then go back and finish tightening them up so that there's no weird torque in the bus bar. I'll probably just do 2 screws for each now so that they can stay a little loose. All right, the next one I need is the distributor that doesn't have any lugs in it. So that spare one.
Got it.
No, not that one.
Oh my God.
I'm kidding. Okay, this is gonna be tricky. Okay, so that's gonna slide on there. And screw, drill, lights, action.
Oh no.
It's not like it can go anywhere. Oh, come on. Read yourself. All right. Press T. Excellent. Glad no one else is wiring our boat. They would never fit in here.
That is
They'd take
true.
one look at it and be like, nope. Where's the electrical room? Perfect. Nice and wobbly. All right, now I need the small distributor with the lugs. All right. Okay. Why am I the one in here?
I don't know.
You know, once these are installed, all the rest of the wiring in here is going to be you.
Doesn't make sense. Oh, could be fine on the big boats too.
Final BMS.
Final BMS.
Stall it between my legs. Yeah. Lights. See? Steady as she goes. Lights. Okay. All right, it's up. Whew. I only put 2 screws in each and left them loose so that I can now do like final alignment and put all the nuts on the connection points and make sure they're nice and tight. Looks good though. Fits well in there.
Yes, question from the audience. Cutie in the back. Just to hold that thought. You can use most of these components with almost any battery bank. Yes, question in the back. Thank you for waiting.